baby food. I was 5.
Do you mind my asking what year you had that?
1948.
Thank you.
And it was, and this is an interesting thing the kids ask too. How did you get it? And one of the biggest transmitters of polio was mosquitoes. I grew up in Minnesota along the lakes, and we were out vacationing, and I got bit by a mosquito. Got a welt like, and the kids all have had welts from mosquitoes, and they could relate to it. I got that welt. All of a sudden, my legs ached. I got sick to my stomach. I got a terrible headache. And my mom, and she says now, or back then, I remember the aches, this terrible leg aches, and I could have hard time breathing. That's why the iron lung, because the lung breathes for you. But she would rub my legs, and we went to the doctor, and we went up to the doctor in Fargo, North Dakota. I was living in Pelican Rapids, Minnesota, a little town with about 1,700 population. We went up to Fargo, and they diagnosed it from the mosquito. And he declared it was the most serious case of polio he had seen. And so anyway, after I'd been there, I was in the iron lung. I spent 6 weeks, and we didn't have kindergarten then. Most of you remember, now we're trying, some schools aren't having kindergarten. Shame, real shame. But there wasn't kindergarten, so I didn't start until 1st grade. I didn't start school, so I had a year where I was just going to the Sister Kinney Institute in Minneapolis and getting help with medications. Salk vaccine hadn't come out yet. Salk vaccine didn't come out until I was about 3rd grade.
What kind of medications did they give you to help?
It was, and I couldn't remember, but it was. There was some intravenous, and they did give me a lot of shots. I had, and I don't recall what it was. But I was with the Sister Kinney Institute, if you remember that name. That was my savior besides my mom. I would go to Minneapolis, and the Sister Kinney Institute did all kinds of things, worked with my legs, my arms. I had very, very weak legs. I still have very, very skinny legs. Very, very minimal muscles in my leg. But one of the things that was so exciting is in the summer, Sister Kinney Institute set up a program called Camp Courage. Think of the word. It was in Brainerd, Minnesota. And I believe in this, when we're looking for other projects that we talked about for Rotary, I believe that this totally. That, you know, there's an old Native American saying that I quote all the time, because I have a lot of Native American friends from back in Minnesota. But until you walked in my moccasins, you don't know where I come from. Yeah. And that's what the whole philosophy of Camp Courage was. The only kids that could go to Camp Courage were those with polio. Now think about it. Nobody else in my school had polio. And I was kind of mainstreamed with everybody else, but I was different, because the other thing that was so important were these little deals here, the crutches and the braces. And I wore braces up to my knees, and the crutches aren't like the ones there. The crutches they had then were crutches that came up. You would hold them here, and they'd come up on your hand, and you would walk like this. And when I was talking to these kids about this walking, all this stuff that's been in the news about bullying, I asked kids what they thought. How would they do? And I said that all my classmates would walk behind me. Wouldn't necessarily go like this, but they would stomp their feet. And the kids said, "Well, that's bullying." And we had a conversation that went for a half an hour. We